All pain, no gain. As geopolitical uncertainty continues to build, crypto and other markets continue to suffer. Trump defied. The US Supreme Court has enraged the president by ruling his tariffs to be illegal. What happens next, and what does this all mean for crypto? Agentic finance. X402 is one of the few bright spots in crypto right now. We bring you up to speed with the latest developments and explain why this is such a big deal. And we'll have some top-tier TA, tweets of the week, dates for your diary, and much more besides. This is the Coin Bureau News, live.
GM, happy Monday and welcome back to the most important show of the week. This is, of course, the Coin Bureau Weekly News live stream. My name is Nick. Guy, how are you feeling? On a scale of 1 to 10.
What, one being we're so over, 10 being we're so bad?
Yeah, exactly, in that range.
I'm just going to say we're towards the lower end of that range.
Yeah, because we broke through 65k overnight again on account of Trump tweeting, which we'll be getting to.
I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised we're still this high.
Yeah, I mean, given how far everyone's been calling for that 200-week moving average below 60k, I mean, it just seems to be dragging us down there, but slowly, slowly ending our hope, not all at once, but basically dragging us along. So, yeah, but we'll be looking at that, guys. Of course, we'll be looking at what's been happening with the price over the past week. It was a very busy week indeed last week. We'll also be taking a look at if you guys thought that the tariff kerfuffle was over last year with all those trade deals being signed. There's a bit of a surprise that the Supreme Court had for us last week.
Just a little, yeah.
Kind of threw a bit of a spanner in the works, shall we say. So we'll be looking at that and the impact on the markets. And then, of course, we'll be looking at one of the final remaining bullish crypto narratives that everyone seems to have latched onto on crypto Twitter, and that is agentic finance. So it's an exciting narrative we'll be looking at. But of course, guys, please fire up those likes. We know it's ambitious, but we're going to shoot for the stars because then at least you'll touch the ceiling. We'll get 100 likes maybe. 1,000 likes, let's go for it. If we get to 1,000 likes, I think we should get Guy to do the TA section next week. How about that?
Okay.
I mean, Guy's got some great
I'm
TA
so confident we're not going to get to 1,000 likes. Yeah, sure. Okay. Get to 1,000 likes. If that status bar underneath Nick gets to 100%, then I will do the TA next week. And, who knows? That could signal the start of the next bull market.
There we go. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell as well, guys. So let's kick off with the week in Bitcoin. Now, if you guys will recall, last week, Monday, was one of the most important days of the year. It was President's Day, where we salute the leader and chief, His Excellency, Mr. Trump.
I like that photo. Why is there nothing happening?
Yeah, WTF? What's going on with my portfolio?
Is this on?
Yeah.
What's going on? So this was President's Day last Monday.
President's Day, exactly.
So the markets were closed.
They were closed. U.S. markets were closed.
Yeah.
But it was a very bullish day. Well, actually not bullish. It was the start of the new Chinese New Year. This is the year of the fire horse.
Yes.
Right? Although, unfortunately, historically, the years of the horses hasn't been that bullish, right? It hasn't been bullish in the market.
Yes, historically, horse years are not great. I mean, I think the average works out to a fairly small decline in overall sort of markets, but nothing catastrophic. But there are a few sort of outlier years. I think 1929 was a horse year, for instance, and as students of history will know, that wasn't a vintage year.
Well, a horse on fire. I don't know what that's supposed to signify, but let's see.
Probably fine. Probably fine.
Tuesday, there was this news that Wall Street was, or indeed the entire lots of financial institutions were shorting the dollar at record levels. And indeed, the dollar had broken through a long-term trend line from a few years ago. So the dollar is falling.
Okay.
And that should traditionally be good for risk assets, but not so much.
We seem to be in a different paradigm right now. Yeah. Now, Wednesday, we saw an indicator, which I must say I'd either never heard of or forgotten about, but this is the World Uncertainty Index. I mean, at least something's going up. Yes, this is as you could no doubt tell from this graph, the World Uncertainty Index just went absolutely ballistic.
Guy, I'm completely uncertain of what to do with this. What to make with this?
Although it does seem, I'm a little confused about this because it does seem to think that COVID-19 happened in sort of 2014.
Okay.
But nevertheless, I think I have heard talk about sort of general uncertainty climbing from this. So, yeah.
Wow, okay. And it's for good reason, of course, because we got news last week, indeed throughout the whole of the week, that a strike on Iran was imminent. War in the Middle East. I'm sure this is going to go swimmingly.
Yeah. This was talked about a lot. We did kind of wonder whether we might see something like that happen over the weekend. Because as you said on Twitter, Nick, these things generally tend to happen over the weekend so that people are able to sell off their crypto.
Only crypto,
because
exactly.
That's the only market that's actually trading at
Trump
that time.
actually times it such that it's just on the Friday evening so he can make his pro-crypto credentials known by tanking the markets.
Tired of winning. So tired of winning. So tired. We also had the FOMC minutes on Wednesday as well. They were actually on the hawkish side.
Yes, slightly hawkish to the extent that several of the Fed governors favored, quote, two-sided guidance at which the bank might opt to hike rates if inflation continues to remain risky. So they basically said, we're not looking to hike rates, but we need to keep our wording slightly more ambiguous such that there's the possibility of rate hikes, all the Fed speak. You know.
I was going to say a masterclass in Fed speak.
Exactly.
It's like we might do this, but we might also do that.
Just keep it in time. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Thursday brought us some movement on the Clarity Act. There was another meeting at the White House. The White House is actually quite keen to get this through. There was some progress, according to CoinDesk, but no breakthrough yet.
Yeah, nothing yet. And the White House has urged bankers to allow for limited stablecoin rewards that won't threaten their deposit business, according to sources familiar with talks. And Kelshi odds are actually picking up on this. I think they're at about 68% before 2027. So slightly on the bullish side.
I mean, I imagine the bank's idea of sort of limited rewards on stablecoins would be about 0.03%, which is roughly what they pay on,
bit ambitious.
on dollars.
But ambitious, 0.01%, I think.
They don't want to they don't want to give money away.
You'll give something. You'll get something, guys.
There was some good news. The jobless claims came in slightly lower than expected.
Yeah.
However, it has to be said, Nick, that you made a video this morning, which will be coming out soon, about how all these jobs numbers are total BS.
Exactly.
Total
a mirage.
BS from the BLS.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
So keep a lookout for that because it is very interesting and it says a lot. It completely reframes the whole debate around interest rates, inflation, jobless numbers, etc. So keep a lookout for Nick and his dulcet tones on that one.
Speaking about Nick and his dulcet tones, unfortunately, guys, we've got some bad news for you that the CME will be introducing 24/7 trading of futures, Bitcoin futures instruments coming in the next few months.
You know what this means.
Which means that, unfortunately, we're going to have to retire the concept of the CME gap. So I'm trying to come to terms with this because what else we can talk about on these streams, to be honest, because I yearn for the Monday mornings when I could talk about the gaps. But
It's so over. It's so over.
Yes, that is coming.
What are we going to talk about without CME
I don't know,
gaps?
bro. What else, man? We're just going to have to turn into a comedy show.
This bear market just gets worse and worse. Okay, so 24/7 CME trading for Bitcoin options you can look forward to there.
Yeah.
So Friday, presumably the week was winding down, getting ready for the weekend. Everything was nice and chill.
Looking forward to some good economic numbers, and we didn't get that, unfortunately. And this is bad on two accounts. Actually, worst of both worlds. Not only did you have a slowing economy, well, not slowing, but like GDP growth itself was for the fourth quarter was 1.4%, which is far below expectations on account of the government shutdown last year. But also, we had a surprising spike in the PCE inflation number. So this is the Fed's preferred inflation measure, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, and it was higher than expected. So yeah, it's not looking good there.
Okay. So then came the big news, which we are going to talk about in a little more detail later on. But this was Friday. The Trump tariffs were struck down by the Supreme Court, or I suppose more accurately, they were ruled by a 6-3 majority to be illegal.
Yeah, illegal. There we go. I wonder if Trump has framed that tariff scorecard on his in the White House.
I would imagine you can probably buy that as sort of MAGA Trump merch, can't you?
I'm surprised he hasn't started that yet.
Yeah.
And because of knowing Trump.
I mean, seeing as us crypto bros are all going to be out of a job soon, would the White House like a merch consultant? I could maybe start pitching for a new job. But we're going to talk about the tariffs in a bit more detail later. So just hold that thought there, and we will talk about what happened in crypto over the weekend and into Monday.
Yep. So, not looking good on the ETF, unfortunately. I mean, what else am I going to say, bro? Fifth straight week of outflows on the ETF side, Bitcoin ETFs. So it wasn't looking good there. And there was some just super sideways action for Bitcoin over the weekend.
Oh, look at classic crab.
Crabbing along.
Yeah.
But then came Monday morning, and Trump put out a post on Truth Social saying, "We're winning too much. It's just not fair."
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Surely this must correspond to a massive, great pump in the markets,
must do, right? Sure, right?
Oh.
And this is not a joke, guys. That is literally the exact timestamp. He comes out, he makes that post, and Bitcoin just decides to go, actually, you know, here we go again.
Wow.
What is it?
Bitcoin actually sort of trolling Trump there.
I mean, whoever's market sold it on that moment was basically just waited for that tweet. I mean, I'm curious to see what happens if he actually changed the word into "we're losing too much." Would that have actually been a pump? I mean, the inverse.
You got to think this. You got to think this.
That is literally the timestamp.
Do you think that's Michael Saylor just seeing that and going, "Oh, for goodness' sake, sell." Okay, and well, it's worth pointing out at this stage now, as we're talking about Bitcoin and Trump, the crypto market has now, drum roll please, completely erased its all exit scene since Donald Trump was. I think is this since Donald Trump was elected, since his election victory
since
in
the
November
election
2014?
victory, not even just the inauguration, the election victory. So literally a generational round trip for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And it's also a Satoshi era whale, just to add some the cherry on the top. A Satoshi era whale woke up this morning and decided when he saw that Trump post, "Oh shit, I'm dumping," and they dumped 750 million off Bitcoin.
Wow.
So, anyways, with that positive news out of the way, what is to come? So we've got Iran war escalation, Mexico war escalation, earnings, tariffs, and macro releases all coming a bit later in the stream.
Okay.
So keep an eye on that. We also have the US opening, and it should open in about now 18 minutes time. Currently, futures are slightly down.
Okay.
Quickly looking at some charts, unfortunately, guys. I got some... Unfortunately, well, I can't say I got good news. I don't, right? But Bitcoin's chart on the weekly is looking deathly, and that's because it's actually the first time in history this has ever happened. One is we've had the 6th negative weekly close in a red in a row. And that's also been the 6th consecutive close below the 100 weekly moving average. And it's the 3rd consecutive close below the 2021 cycle high. So it seems as if that 200-week, as we mentioned at the top of the stream, that 200-week moving average is acting like a bit of a magnet right now.
Okay. So, generally...
I mean, the bottom. One more point, sorry, there's to put out there is we do potentially look like we're at a bottom. If you were to read this RSI, the weekly RSI is at levels not seen since FTX and Luna. So that if the RSI is oversold, that generally tends to be seen as a sign of a bottom. However, I will note that we do know what happened to Bitcoin subsequent to FTX and Luna. I mean, not to Luna and 3AC, we had the FTX debacle. So,
So if history is set to repeat, there's one more
drop down, one more depth charge
waiting in the water to take us lower, but that will be the bottom.
But we're close.
We're close. We're close. It feels like we're close, and that surely is something to celebrate. Now, if you by some chance are looking for a top tier exchange to trade this market on, then there is no better option than 2bit. right, Nic?
Yeah, exactly. So this is a top-tier international exchange, and they have a solid interface, deep liquidity, competitive fees, and the onboarding is super simple. All you need is an email. That's it. You scan the QR code over there or hit the link down in the description. And if you use our QR code or the link, you'll also have the option to earn 90K in potential trading rewards subject to you depositing, as well as a immediate VIP level 1 upgrade, which gives you 50% off trading fees for life. And you can basically try it with just an email address. And once you decide if you want to use it, indeed, you can then deposit and avail yourself of those bonuses and discounts. So check it out, guys. Link in the description or scan the QR code.
Wonderful. Okay. All right, I will give you a little bit of an overview of the sentiment in the chat, Nic. Keeps format. Keeps format, I think, is generally a sort of bullish type, buying the dip and feeling bullish for the future. That's lovely. Oxford Road Coach, welcome back, sir. We need some positivity. Maybe Guy and Nic could do a duet to entertain us, or a comedy double act. I mean, this kind of is a comedy double act, isn't it? I mean, this is as good as you'll get. A duet, I don't think. Look, people are already depressed. We don't need Nic and I singing a duet.
We can't lose the last 10 of our viewers.
Yes, exactly. Brett, as usual, is frothing about my choice of clothing. So good, get that off your chest, Brett. Shaggy Herbie Doctor.
Shaggy Herb Doctor.
Shaggy Herb Doctor. Shaggy Herbie Doctor. Oh, dear, you could tell. Shaggy Herb Doctor says, "Good morning, bros. Perfect timing. I need a laugh." Well, you presumably got one from me trying to read out your handle. Brett, meanwhile, the trolling continues. Biggest threat to my portfolio is Guy's TA. You better believe it, Brett. You better believe it. I'm coming for your TA. It's not, if we get to those 1,000 likes and I get to do the TA, I'll be going hard on your portfolio, Brett. I like this from space.youtube. It's almost like crypto has buyer's remorse.
Oh man.
And then the clown at Clown Cockney, which is ever so slightly sinister. Shall I do this in a Cockney accent?
Go ahead.
The bomb won't be in until Sailor's liquidated. Who actually believes he'd be allowed to own the most Bitcoin? Laughing emoji. There we are. I hope you are a true Cockney, sir, in which case don't be too offended. And Kian was a little late to the party. Sorry I'm late. All positive news, right? Yeah, Kian's absolutely fine.
Positive.
Absolutely
Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry, man. We're going to the moon, bro. We're going to the moon. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah. Tariffs, guys, let's talk about it. As you know, it's been the word that has dogged the crypto markets for the whole of last year. Indeed, it was one of the initial catalysts of the massive 10-10 meltdown.
Yeah.
And all to think that all of that was for nothing, because almost nothing.
Oh, God. This gets worse, doesn't it? It just gets worse.
Yes, because as we mentioned on the stream last week, actually, that there was a potential ruling on the 20th of February, and indeed the Kalshi odds prior to that were looking as if it was going to be, that the court was going to side against it, and indeed they did.
Yeah. Yeah, so another win for the prediction markets there. Now, just in case you're not up to speed with what exactly happened, so the Supreme Court of the United States ruled 6-3 that Trump had exceeded his executive authority in imposing these tariffs. Now, you might remember these tariffs were imposed without any even consultation of Congress. Trump basically did them by executive order.
Yeah.
So they were, obviously they were controversial because of what they were, because of the sheer, numbers involved and the geopolitical consequences of them. But they were also very controversial because they were kind of done unilaterally by Trump, by the White House. So this was obviously challenged in the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. And what is particularly interesting, I think, about this 6-3 ruling is that, Trump has, over the course, especially in his first term, Trump managed to actually stuff the Supreme Court with quite a lot of, people who were, seem to be his allies. He has got a lot of people more to the right of the political spectrum in there over the last few years. So he must have kind of thought that they were going to go along with him on that one.
Yeah, he did. But to be fair to him, he actually took it quite surprisingly well when they Oh, yes, of course. No, that's obviously sarcasm. He bashed them as, quote, unpatriotic justices. He labeled the decision as a disgrace, specifically targeting his own nominee. Gorsuch and Barrett for joining the majority.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So disloyalty in Trump land does not go down well. So I imagine it's probably a little uncomfortable being one of those Supreme Court justices at the moment. But yeah, as Nick says, Trump was, understandably, I guess, pretty furious about this. It basically, I guess, if you could sum it up all in one word, especially in terms of what it has unleashed, I think that word would be shit show.
It has, yeah. Now, in terms of what happens from here, well, first of all, Trump immediately responded a few hours later. He had a new strategy, and he signed an executive order for a temporary 10% global tariff under Section 122 of the 1974 Trade Act.
Okay. Then on Saturday, he actually increased this to 15%. Now, so this 15% tariff is authorized for up to 150 days per that section of the Trade Act that Nick mentioned, with plans for more permanent levies later on.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it's a really important point here that was put out on a tweet, and it's a good one. The problem is, if it's about leverage, if tariffs are about leverage and you're an adversary or another trading partner, how much leverage are you going to actually get against that trading partner if you know that this is potentially going to disappear in 150 days? And similarly, the whole goal of tariffs was to be about onshoring jobs. Manufacturers would adjust, that bring jobs back to America. Who on earth is going to plan and for this, assuming that the tariff is going to be removed in 150 days? So it's quite ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, one of the features of this Supreme Court decision means that there is now, a question of, well, does the revenue raised from these tariffs so far, which is around $175 billion, is this now going to be redistributed to those who've had to pay it?
Yeah, well, the people who've actually had to pay it are the consumers, but of course the companies are the ones who's asking for the tariff revenue back. So there's about $175 billion, and companies are actually now suing or plan to sue the Trump administration to get some of that back.
Yeah, and of course that Supreme Court case was originally brought by a consortium of companies, exactly. I believe. And kind of some of the madness of this is that he's now talking about, he was mentioning that some of this revenue could be used to pay off the national debt. Some of it, obviously, a tiny slither of it, given that the national debt is now about $38 trillion. But he was also talking about $2,000 dividends. So, if that was to go ahead, basically giving it back to the people who paid it in the first place.
Exactly. Well, I mean, what a lopsided way of doing it. I mean, if that works. But anyways, in terms of the market reaction, equities caught a much needed boost on the day. We had retailers and luxury stocks initially rallying. But we also had European stocks which surged, right?
Yeah. So ironically enough, Trump's tariffs have been great for Europe.
Massively, especially over the past year, if you've seen the performance, not just in terms of absolute, but also relative, because the euro has been up a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Who would have thought Trump would be good news for Europe? So there are also, as I mentioned, I mentioned the national debt. There are also concerns around the deficit as well. This Supreme Court ruling has thrown the cat among the pigeons there. Obviously, bond yields, I should say, rose as traders worried that basically, these refunds would force the Treasury to, basically issue more debt. And that would only kind of widen the deficit. Yeah.
The impact on crypto, though, well, for once, thank God. That's the wrong shot. I mean, for once, a tariff headline that didn't actually tank Bitcoin's price. It's a miracle, really. But it also didn't do much in terms of a rally. so Bitcoin's done nothing. Well, subsequent to that, it obviously crashed over the weekend. But Bitcoin didn't move. But and then also this is surprising because, as you recall, as we mentioned, if you'll not forget, that the 1010 was caused by the Trump tariffs. I think that the refunds that Trump wants to give for the tariffs, at least some of that should go to all the crypto traders who lost the billions subsequent to that liquidation event.
I'm sure that is an idea that would be wholeheartedly supported by most of the American public.
Oh, yes.
Given crypto's immense popularity and the immense well of good,
such loved community,
good
such
feeling
a loved community
towards the crypto industry that we've managed to
innocent community.
cultivate over all those years. I'm sure people across the United States will be saying, yes, give that money back to the crypto bros. Don't
Across the political spectrum, our purpose resonates with them.
The United States will be united like never before.
We shit talk our industry more than anyone really does. But if the refunds are given to companies, it could be a fiscal boost, and risk assets could climb. But again, that's a long way away, court cases, etc. But the biggest benefit, well, we say this now, is that it's less weight to the erratic trade policy, because now they have some degree of certainty. I do feel sorry for all the countries that basically agreed to these exorbitant investment programs in the US on the basis they would get less. Like the UK, bad luck UK. Literally, they go out there like praising Trump's feats and everything, Keir Starmer and all that, to get a great trade deal, and now the base rate is like
yeah. Well, I mean, looking at the media sort of front pages now, all the media sites now, like as I said earlier, the overwhelming sense is confusion, because like now really no one knows what to do. And I think this is, I mean, you could argue that this is going to be good for markets in some of the ways that we outline, but really I think this is just sort of more just pandemonium, more uncertainty, more pandemonium. Like, people just, companies, businesses just aren't going to be able to make any plans because they just don't know what's going to come next.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to make the most of these turbulent market environments in crypto, or indeed any sort of assets, gold, commodities, TradFi, then the best place to be doing that is over on BitGet, our second brand partner. Now, you can use, first of all, if you don't have a BitGet account, you can sign up right now, scanning the QR code on the screen or hitting the link in the description. And you can swap your Bitcoin for USDT, and then you can trade tokenized gold and other assets, stocks as well. And it's up to 500 times leverage, and of course deep liquidity and low slippage. And also, if you sign up with our link or the QR code, you could potentially get up to $50,000 in deposit bonuses. So go ahead, do that, guys, and claim yourself a deposit bonus, trade some gold, and make a killing.
Yes, trade some gold. don't touch crypto, for goodness sake. Okay, now we've been very negative about crypto as a whole over the course of this stream, for good reason. But it would be remiss of us if we didn't look for the positives in crypto as well. And believe it or not, there are some out there, and one of the biggest is so-called agentic finance. Now, you'll probably have heard of us talking about the X402 protocol a bit before, either in these live streams, or we've done a couple of videos about them on this channel as well. So we thought there's been a lot happening in the agentic payments / X402 space. So we wanted to bring you up to speed on that, because I don't know about you, Nick, but I personally think this is probably crypto's brightest spot at the moment in terms of potential, in terms of what it might do for the space, in terms of how crypto might actually sort of prove itself to some of the naysayers in the big wide world. I mean, are you with me on that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for one, it's if you're bullish on these two particular narratives and the intersection of them. So one is if you're bullish on AI agents, which it seems to be now with all the release of these Claude bots and all that. And also if you're bullish on stablecoin finance, because these bots are going to have to speak to each other, these agents. Mm-hmm. So this is the meta right now. It is AI. Yeah, indeed. It is getting a lot of the attention now on crypto Twitter, because it's one of the only narratives left to pin our hopes on. Yeah. So that is us coming to you right now in the bathroom and letting you know about the agentic finance meta.
Next time you're stood at the urinal, just you watch out. You never know. Someone might come and talk to you about stablecoin payments for agentic finance. Now, just a quick refresh in case you're unfamiliar, in case you've zoned out, in case your eyes have glazed over every time we talked about this. What is X402? Well, basically, X402 is an open source payment protocol. It's been developed by Coinbase in collaboration with Cloudflare.
Yeah,
I believe.
exactly.
The big sort of web infrastructure company. Now, interestingly, you'll probably be familiar with a 404 error, page not found. That obviously goes back to the early days of the internet. But in the 1990s, they actually reserved 402 as well.
Yeah, exactly. For payments, but never implemented it. And the problem is basically most traditional payments, you think Visa and MasterCard, etc., they require biometrics or multi-factor authentication. AI agents, of course, don't have thumbs or faces to scan.
Not yet.
Not yet, at least, yeah. So X402 absolves this by embedding stablecoin payments directly into the HTTP protocol through request-response handshakes.
Yeah. So the result is that, AI agents that implement that are, plugged into X402, they can basically now, if you like, kind of pay as they go for things like API calls, for GPU power, for data, a lot of these data websites that they're visiting, because something I was unaware of until quite recently is that quite a lot of data sites now actively block. You can block AI agents, particularly AI scrapers as well, and still allow human users through. Now, what this basically gives them the opportunity for is to say, well, rather than block you, you can pay instead.
Exactly, yeah. And if you're going to pay, why not use an internet native currency like a stablecoin?
Yeah.
So there's this concept of machine-to-machine commerce, where stablecoins are becoming the native currency of the AI economy because they are programmable 24/7 and settle instantly. And unlike legacy banks that close at 5 p.m., an AI agent can detect a yield opportunity or a price discrepancy at 3 a.m. and execute a stablecoin swap immediately.
Yeah. So, this kind of gives AI agents this sort of plug and play kind of agency, really. And there are a lot of developments happening around this. X402 launched sort of last year, but there's been a lot happened since then. Coinbase recently launched what they're calling agentic wallets. This basically allows a developer to give any AI agent its own sort of financial identity. And this can all be done, in minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the impact potentially, this concept of the agent-to-agent economies. So we're moving toward a world where AI agent, for example, like let's say a researcher hires another AI agent, potentially like a translator, and pays it in stablecoins via X402.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is basically going to enable sort of, if you like, kind of streaming payments, I guess. So, just imagine an AI agent paying, fractions of a cent every second for access to, like, say a high-speed financial data feed or something like that. Yeah. So, the possibilities for this are enormous.
Exactly. Yeah, and if it's like what people are asking now, probably on the audience, like, how do I make money from this? As per usual. I guess one of the ways is if you look at the underlying infrastructure, and if you think that in terms of stablecoin finance, where is most of these stablecoins issued these days, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, still on Ethereum.
Still Ethereum, right? So despite the fact that Vitalik may be selling his bags regularly, Ethereum itself is still the main place where stablecoins, and indeed most RWAs are issued. And if you are of the view that agentic finance is going to take off, and this is also actually interesting, guys, because in the context, I don't know, Guy, did you see today there was this release of this research report by Citrine Research. It's basically making the rounds on Twitter, and it was this argument around, it was kind of a doomer post on AI, how it's going to take over everyone's job and all that. But they made a point around specifically in the mentioned agentic payments and how things like stablecoins are the way in which these payments can be made. And it's terrible news for the business model of the likes of Visa and MasterCard, but great for crypto networks that where these stablecoins are processed and settled on. So, yeah, if you're bullish on stablecoin, if you're bullish on agentic stablecoin finance, then Ethereum probably is a good bet.
Yeah, I think Ethereum, some of its layer 2s like Base. I also kind of think, although stablecoins on Solana haven't got anything like the market cap of Ethereum, Solana is extremely fast and extremely cheap as well. And I think if agentic payments take off, then I think we're probably most likely to see them on networks like Base, obviously because Coinbase developed X402, but I would imagine Solana would be in the game there as well. So there's a couple to look out for. You can also, there is an X402 tab on CoinGecko with some more sort of smaller X402 projects. Now, obviously, given the state of not just the crypto market, but particularly the altcoin market, those are obviously a lot more risky.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in this, then it is worth checking that tab out and seeing some of the projects building, because some of them are genuinely quite interesting in what they're trying to do and what they're trying to achieve. So there is a bit of good news.
There's some good news.
Some crypto good news, folks. This, I think, could be the moment where crypto sort of bursts a bit more into the mainstream and goes, this is what I'm for. This is what crypto is for.
Product market fit for the agents that are going to overtake all of our jobs. At least they'll be able to transact with each other.
at least when AI agents take our jobs, they can now get paid.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, guys, it's time for the TA section, and Lewis is still away, so we thought we'd bring back, by popular demand, you guys, it's Aaron from the Coin Bureau Trading Channel. So Aaron, take it away with your TA.
Aaron scans a chart, trend lines tight and true. Full of bearish, TA tells exactly what to do.
Hey guys, it's me, Aaron Dishner from the Better Traders, here for Coin Bureau, giving you a 3-minute market update. Let's go. So BTC had a pretty surprising start to the day. As you all know, in about 2 hours, it dropped 4.79%. Now, what exactly caused this dump? Not really sure, but it doesn't matter because that's a pretty nasty break of support. BTC has now officially put in a lower low. And for those of you that have been keeping track with me, this is still a valid bear flag break. So if this is actually going to be a real bear flag for BTC, what we're going to want to see happen next, now that we've seen a drop of support making a low, we're going to want to see it go back up to test previously lost support, which would then switch it to be resistance, and we fall lower. Again, this is the same exact setup that happened over here. We saw it tag resistance and BTC dropped a lot more. The chart's still strong bearish. It's still looking really weak on the daily time frame as well as on the weekly time frame on all metrics, on all indicators, super strong bearish, no big changes there. Stablecoin dominance as a result pushed up a lot higher. We saw it go up in total about 4.57% today. Note that it's right under TBO resistance at 11.521%. Now, even if this is a fake out and we see Bitcoin go up higher and stablecoin dominance go back lower, the reality is that this is still a super duper strong bullish TBO cloud, which means that even if we get a pullback, we should see a bigger move to the top side. And that's actually what I'm expecting. On the weekly time frame, both stablecoin dominance and Bitcoin are showing signs that we are very much near the capitulation phase of this bear market, which is great, which means that the bottom is a lot closer than it was at the beginning, like a couple months ago. Last but not least, gold is actually waking up. And you know what's helpful to make that happen is instability in the geopolitical landscape and also in the financial landscape. And of course, President Trump in the US saying, well, I don't care what the US Supreme Court does. I'm just going to slap on 15% tariffs for everyone. Of course, we're going to see gold go up higher. There's two things to pay attention to. For starters, gold is now above this short-term Fibonacci retracement from here, from 5,600 down here to $4,400. The fact that it's now opening and will most likely hold above this 618 Fibonacci level, which is the golden level, as everyone likes to call it, it's a big deal. I personally am still expecting gold to eventually, not right away, but eventually move up here towards $6,500 because I don't see any signs of the world slowing down in terms of geopolitical tension. Financial landscape is still very, very weak, especially for the United States. So gold is telling us that we should see it moving up higher. And if gold is moving up, most certainly we're going to see Bitcoin go in the opposite direction to lower lows.
Wow. Okay. So 6,500 for gold. Wow.
Okay.
Bullish call there, Aaron. Yeah. Thanks a lot, mate. It's time for Tweets of the Week, guys. Oh, no jingle.
No jingle. Okay, we
fine.
cut the jingle.
Okay.
Times are tough. Bear market. We got to strip this
Production
strip
budget.
this right back. We can't afford the jingle anymore. Okay, Scottie Pippen. I'm confused, Nick. I thought Scottie Pippen was a basketball player.
I thought so too, but it seems he's pivoted into amateur crypto TA professional because he shared two kind of really weird and fake. Well, one was completely wrong and the other was fake. So, I mean, the first one on the left there, and both were also stolen, by the way. I put it out, pointed out that they weren't his own posts. So he wasn't the retard who posted them, but the retard originally designed it, but he did post it. First one is he's got a quote there: Bitcoin with actually a bearish, a bear flag formation, which is surprising because I don't know if he was trying to imply that things are about to go crazy. But what in fact did happen, as what usually happens with Bitcoin with a bear flag, is that it did break lower. So he posted the correct chart but just not the way he thought it was going to go. And then the second chart there, this is hilarious because he's not the only one who shared this. Like I said, everyone was sharing this on crypto Twitter, which is so stupid because the chart on the right, you can't see that chart is actually from 2025, I think, and it was invalidated. So it was completely invalidated. So basically people are posting fake charts.
Okay. So... yeah, okay, so we've got this. I mean, this is surreal on so many levels, isn't it? We've got Scottie Pippen, famous once upon a time basketball player, pivoting into crypto at possibly the worst possible time. To be fair, he's been talking about crypto for a bit. He's been napping off about crypto for a little bit.
He says he met Satoshi once.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was the guy who said that when he was with Michael Saylor, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now posting nonsense on Twitter. I mean, so what's next? Dennis Rodman with XRP?
Bro, I mean, what cycle are we in? What stage of the cycle is this? I don't fucking know, man.
I don't know. All I know is I don't like it. Okay. Moving on from Scottie Pippen. Yes. Okay. So this is more from this OpenClaw. So this is someone complaining that they got blocked from the OpenClaw Discord for saying the word Bitcoin. Peter Steinberger is the guy who came up with OpenClaw. OpenClaw, I should say. We have strict server rules that you accepted when you enter the server. No crypto mention whatsoever is one of them.
Yeah, man, the bro literally was harassed so badly that even the site, the mention of Bitcoin, to be fair, Bitcoin is technically not, it is a cryptocurrency, but Bitcoiners will say it's not crypto. But yeah, he just can't be bothered. It's like anything to do with a cryptocurrency at all, no mention.
We did this to ourselves. Yep. But there is some good news out there. X is pushing back against undisclosed shills.
Great. I think, to be honest, this is good. I mean, no more of the undisclosed shills on Twitter, right? All these people with these projects and everything. So if it's something that concerned people, it's because they weren't doing it right. Just to disclose who you partnered with.
Yeah. Now, we've got a little cluster of tweets here because they are all pushing back on the President of the United States. Yes, we laid into him at the top of the stream and we're coming back to lay into him. What's the sort of theme here, Nick?
You know how Twitter's algorithm works now. If you engage with one of these, you basically get sent 50 different ones. So I was like, oh, okay.
This is just
hilarious. The really funny one there is by Runner XBT. Kamala and Gensler 2028. So coins can go up, actually. I mean, to be honest, bro, I don't think it would be that much worse. To be honest, at least Gensler, like I said, some arguments to be made. The one in the first one, Chimpazoo basically made the argument that at least he pursued bad actors and scams and let the crypto market have a bit of a pump.
I'm not entirely with him there. Like I do think there's a point to be made there, but I stand by the fact that Gary Gensler's approach to regulation was wrong. Maybe his thinking was right, but he went about it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
But just the fact that we are basically homesick for it. Basically nostalgic.
It's just crazy, bro. The devil, Anyways, dates the diary. Tomorrow we've got consumer confidence data for February. Wednesday's a big day because we've got NVIDIA earnings, and it would have a massive impact on the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, initial jobless claims. Keep those on your radar. And then Friday, we have PPI, the producer price inflation numbers coming out.
Okay.
And we also have 11 Fed governors speaking during the week.
11?
11, so there'll be some volatility, yeah.
Gosh, so if you're one of those people who loves nothing more than listening to a Fed governor,
Nothing more.
this is the week for you.
If Fed speak gets you going and hot under the collar, get set, guys.
Because you got 11 of them. 11 Fed governors to listen to this week. You lucky, lucky people. Gosh, we don't deserve it. Okay, Nick, I'll fill you in on some of the comments that we're getting. Trash from the Underground says, lots of talk around October. Yes, if you've been watching NFA live streams, Ben Cowan, who's been right about a lot of things of late, he reckons that we are probably going to bottom around maybe May, and that things could start looking up again in October ahead of the midterm elections. Okay. So, yeah, let's see. People are calling for Cousin Barry TA. I mean, we're still only on 30% likes, guys. I can tell you right now, Barry does not get out of bed for under 50%. No. So, you've got to keep smashing that like button. Can someone give me the reference here? Nick's hair has Meshuggah lead guitarist vibes.
Meshuggah? Meshuggah? What the hell?
I haven't heard of Meshuggah. I'm going to have to Google that on my spare time. And there's some love for your moustache, Nick, as well. Nick Diggler.
Oh, I'm just Googling your Meshuggah. I need to see. The guy's bald.
Oh.
Oh, no, there's another guy in there. Okay, fine. Interesting.
there's a non-bald guy. There's a
non-bald, fine.
Okay. Yes, so people generally loving your look, Nick. What else? Queen Bureau Sand, that I didn't have my limit order set at 64k over the weekend. Guess I'll catch it next weekend. I mean, I think you can probably turn those limit orders a little lower.
Yeah, right? A little lower. Just go below the 200-week moving average. Maybe to be safe, the 300-week moving average. Or the
400-week. I mean, who knows? Who knows? These moving averages are just getting blasted through. Nick, geopolitical questions. Will the UAE real estate tank when Iran is attacked?
I hope not, man. That's the only thing that's going well for my portfolio. Please no. The only thing that's up the past few years for me.
A stray cruise missile hits Nick's investment property. If ever Nick is absent from the stream, guys, you'll know he's either eaten some dodgy oysters or Iran has attacked his investment property. Let's hope not. I think it would take more. I think it would take more.
A lot more than that. Yeah.
And lots of love for Aaron as well.
Oh, cool.
We should say Lewis hasn't been replaced. He hasn't been sent into the wilderness because he sold all his crypto and moved into metals. He is just taking some time off to get some stuff done. Yeah. So we are expecting him back fairly soon. So don't worry.
He'll be back.
And on the likes front, guys, we haven't got. Funnily enough, I think 30% is closer than we've got in a lot of weeks.
Well, yeah. We got to adjust the numbers down. I think this is a bit embarrassing. We'll maybe make it 500 next week.
Okay.
By the next few months, in 3 months' time, it's going to be okay, guys. 100 likes.
By May, it'll be like, okay, if we can just get to 10 likes for the day, then Guy will set himself on fire, hurl himself out of the floor of the skyscraper for your delectation. No. Look, one day, Nick. When the bull market has returned, when crypto has come out of its current identity crisis and reasserted itself, found its confidence, found its vibe again, and we've got tens of thousands of people watching these live streams, we'll look back on this and we'll be nostalgic for it in a way that we're kind of nostalgic for Gary Gensler now, I think.
Wow, Guy, I mean, if this crypto thing never works out for you, then you can always go into motivational speaking, because I feel so inspired by that.
You could always become a professional bullshit artist. There's a career for you in that. Okay, folks. Well, there you are. We highlighted the negatives, but we also highlighted some positives as well. And I think I had a good time doing it. It was lots of fun. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Lots more videos coming your way. We will be back with you same time, same place next week.
Cheers, guys. See you then.
See you soon.
I'm just here for the rodent, partially digested coffee beans. Great video, fellas. You guys are awesome, Lala. Where in the world are you watching from? Mariana Trench, Maldives, Cape Town, Minnesota, Scotland. Watching from Connecticut, the land down under.
Nic, for all your brilliance, I would like to present you on behalf of our brand partners, 2bit. You are our diamond partner, 2025.
I can't tell you how much this means to me. You know, ever since I was a young kid, all I ever wanted to be was a crypto KOL.